everybody's starting with something different, but everybody has the tools to do more or less anything. Are you willing to put the work in? Welcome to Catch the Moment podcast. I am your host, David Tyree.
It is caught by Tyree. That's a great catch by David Tyree. Oh my God. This ball's thrown and Tyree just goes up for it like a basketball player.
Welcome back to Catch the Moment podcast. It's your host, David Tyree, back for another exciting episode. This is where we go. You already know. We get you on the pathway through the pain points, through the journey on that process, get you to your next moment. Today, I'm here with a winner. My boy Jordan Merchant from the Empire Collective at Sirhan. What's good, family?
What's up, family?
How we doing?
Blessed, man. Can't complain.
I see you. Listen, the boy do the thing, boy. You see the shade, game, boy. You see the shirt. But we out here.
We got the twin thing going on, right?
We twinning.
The twin vibes.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, man. It's just great to be here, man. We connected out in Vegas. I think it was was it Pro Bowl or something like that? I don't know what it was going on out there.
Yeah, there was a few things.
There was a lot going on out there that week.
Pro Bowl or something like that.
And but you guys are out here doing some amazing things. Before we get to most of your journey, I'd like to ask all of the guests, where were you the first time you ever saw the replay of the helmet catch? Any thoughts? Any memories? That's my cherished moment.
Yeah.
So what you got?
Well, I mean, I saw it in real time like everybody.
Okay.
But the funny thing is my father actually we have a framed picture of you in our house.
Dope.
With like a seal from the Giants and everything with the catch.
Nice.
And he's like, I got these pictures I got them from an auction. And he was going off about it. And then I call him years later. I was like, yo, he's a homie now.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And I'm like, and he's a man of God and a bunch of things. And, so that's, it's literally like when you walk in, it's actually in my house on like right off the foyer. So
that's super dope. So y'all caught it real time? Was it family together, friends? Y'all was Super Bowl party, just gigging, chilling?
You know, New York, we waited so long for a victory like that.
17 years, bro.
So it was, for us, just like, we got a chance, we're in it, and like, that was definitely a shift, so to speak. And, I mean, that's what, really took it for us. So it's a moment. It definitely was a moment that we remember.
Yeah, I always used to tell people, I said, man, I wish I could have transported back to the city just to see what the streets was looking like. Because, I just know us on the East Coast. We wild.
Right.
We wild. But, nah, man.
It was great. It was a great victory. The parades, the city was, I don't know how much you were able to even see from your purview, but this city was, like, turned up.
I can imagine. Yeah. But, nah, that's dope, man. I appreciate you for sharing. All right, so let's get into it. Where was growing up? You're New York City. You've been to New York City. Actually, I don't want to pay it because I know you as New York City. So what part of
New York native? I grew up I was born in Manhattan.
Okay.
Was raised between Queens, White Plains, which is in Westchester.
New York is complex. He's like, I didn't want to say New York City because it's New York City. Then you got the outskirts. You got like Westchester. You got
Rockland. Yeah.
You got Rockland County. So I didn't want to go too far.
Your heart's when you're born in the city or from the city, your heart's always in the city. And even if you move around to the different suburbs, you're very much represented as a city kid. Oh, where you from? You're from Queens. You're from White Plains, which in the 90s, we don't remember, but it was Mount Vernon, Yonkers, DMX, LOX, Mary J. So it was a time that, if you remember, after Heavy D, like nobody really cared about Westchester.
Bro.
Right? Like it was never even on the map. So that mid to late 90s was like, we're here, we're relevant.
I tell you, when you mention Heavy D, it's like I'm like literally born 1980. So it's like Heavy was the man in the 80s. Heavy was like head of the game in relation. Then he kind of took the producer route in music. And we know we got to bring your music resume in here because I'm like, this cat out here booking closings and he on YouTube. So it's a lot, man. Like when I think about even some of your experience, your foundational elements, some of your skills and gifts, it's well rounded. But who were some of the influences, right? So you just threw a couple names because I knew nothing about Westchester. I did know more about Mount Vernon because of some of the names that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So what were some of the influence that shaped your growth, your perspective, and even some of your drive as you were maturing as a young man?
I mean, I guess, piggybacking off the topic of hip hop, I mean, just seeing what we perceive to be the life, like
that's a good one right there, perceive.
Right? Because it is a perception, right? We've been marketed to on some level, but I was a kid who, my mother was an entrepreneur. She was the type to literally like start new businesses, just conceive things out of nowhere, but execute them. And then we would pretty much be her minions. So like,
wow,
she would be like, we're doing a fitness nutrition business and helping people lose weight, but we're taking these products, that table, and we're going to Times Square and sitting in the middle of Times Square, and you're gonna be handing all this stuff out. So I was 7, 8 years old. Man. Cops would come, be like, shut this down right now. And she'd be like, we going to Madison Square, and we would, and she got us into acting and I was doing go-sees and even just dealing with that industry, like thrown into acting where you're doing endless auditions and you're getting turned down and you're like, am I even good at this stuff? And, and you're like just really keeping the faith. But we've always, we always like listen to a lot of positive stuff in our house.
Okay.
Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins.
Oh, okay. So you had the masterminds going.
Yeah, we had a lot of the masterminds in the house. Zig Ziglar.
Wow. So your childhood was built with a heavy leadership and business DNA.
Oh yeah.
Man, listen, bro. I've met a lot of bros, and So I said you must have got some of this hate as a young kid growing up because you're clearly black. It's almost like they must have called you a Carlton or something crazy.
Oh, of course. I get called every name, but they don't know. I catch them with a hook. They're like, "Whoa, Carlton with a little Tyson." I didn't know that.
Well, I say it that way is because it's like we grew up in a time where, like I said, it was cool to be dumb, or it was cool to be broken, right? Like when someone's educated and they don't speak with, certain slangs, or that you actually were privy to information as a young man that everybody's after today. So, man, like, how was that from a standpoint of social circles? What was it like? What was it like for you in that way?
I mean, it feels like nobody really claimed you. Because I moved again from St. Albans to White Plains and to Rockland County. Yeah. Where I was thrown in an all-white class pretty much. And they said, your nickname is now FUBU.
What?
Right? And then you got the hood kids saying, you in New City, you ain't one of us. I know you could get down, but you ain't that. So then you have this kind of like weird paradox, like where do I really stand? And then you have to really double down on who am I? Right? I'm not as tough as you think I am. I'm as tough as I know I am, or I'm as resilient, or whatever it is.
That's
you got to find your own heart, and like you can get thrown in any. But I've always been around real cats. I've always been able to hit every borough. I've always had people in all types of walks of life. Right now, I'm selling to billion-dollar clients. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm been around just the everyday man who's just trying to get by. And I feel like I've never been isolated from each experience, which was the beauty. It was a paradox of experiences because you could see both sides of the river, so to speak.
Man, it's beautiful. Well, this is what most people. I really feel like there's the mentality as well as the relationship nuance that experience brings to the table that allows you to. It's not being a chameleon. It's just being adaptable, right?
Adaptable. You got to know how to switch up. Like I can't bring different rules applying everywhere, right? Like podcasting has its own set of rules as much as being in a boardroom, or if I'm in TV, or if I'm dealing with, as a parent, bunch of parents and,
Come on, bro.
and the school system and how to approach those conversations. So I think adaptability has probably been one of my strongest traits, because I find that people who don't succeed a lot of times always talking about when it was good, when it was easier, when things were different. And they stay in this place rather than how do I figure out how to make the most of the situation I'm in. And real estate, market changes every year, and you're in the middle of pandemic. Yeah. And you get a under $2,000 stimulus. That doesn't even cover the food bill. How do you sell real estate when ain't nobody letting you in their house?
Man,
right? Like,
bro.
So you literally have to sit and adapt. And I'm like, okay.
Jeez.
And even in that time, that's where I met Ryan. You know, so like I think,
nice.
You know, I've always been one to, I think, always just be a leader at the end of the day, because you can't really sit back and let people tell you who you are, you know?
Oh, bro, listen, you out here dropping bar. We further along than I thought. You know, we off the top right here with, well, it's such
We can step back, yeah.
No, man, but it's an important narrative because, number one, I kind of grew up in a similar environment where Montclair, New Jersey was this immensely diverse town, but it had all kind of social classes. I mean, like, I lived in a one-bedroom apartment. But across town, up in Montclair, same thing, Wall Street, money coming in, but we all in school together. So it was a great experience. It's like a social experiment.
Sure.
But at the same time, you know, I'm out, we hungry just like the rest.
Right.
We hungry. We kids coming from East Orange. So it's just these types of, I think it's this kind of mindset, understanding that really affords people to be dynamic in the marketplace, dynamic in relationships. And when you actually understand other people, cultures, you know, theoretically races, and not a I wouldn't even say just offended, intimidated by the differences, then you could actually lay those drawbridges and not just transact, but you can impact, right?
Transact and impact. Because even now, I mean, there's still so very few black brokers who are, you know, at the top of the game. I mean, this is still, we're still breaking ceilings, even with being ranked, you know, one of the top teams in the city.
Yeah.
It's still a new thing, unfortunately. I don't even know if there's another, you know, a few other black teams that are up there.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of them actually at Sirhan. He's made it a very inclusive environment. We have a lot of representative people I've never even knew were even existed. I'm like, you're out here too, you know, but... You know, it's always a blessing to still be a part of this experience, because it is, as you said, impactful for everybody to see it and be like, I could do that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, we definitely need you, man. So when you talk about some of those formative experiences, that was super dope with Mom. How did music come into play? You already talked about auditioning. I mean, like, these were things that, I'm gonna be honest with you, even though I make my way into sports, they were like beyond my world. Even though New York City's right across the water, over there in Jersey, I'm like, even the radio, Hot 97 growing up, I was like, yo, can you really call in? It was something that was like with Dr. Dre. I'm like
New York City, yeah.
Like, yo, can you really do that?
Right.
So, I mean, when you're in it, and it's your world, and I learned that. But how does music kind of find its way through? Tell us a little bit about just kind of like this, either the passion, because you're nice with it, dog. I seen you.
Hey,
so give us a little bit.
You know, funny enough, I wasn't always nice with it. You know, like, and I'm not, you know, shaking my dad, but he probably was right. You know, I actually started off playing violin.
Man, so you got
my mother
instruments.
So I played violin. I taught myself piano for many years before I even had a lesson at one point.
Wow.
And my mother always used to play classical music. Haydn, Beethoven, Mozart. We didn't even listen to, we would listen to some hip hop, but she was very adamant on understanding the great composers.
Yo, your mom's a beast.
Yeah, she was a beast. She was a beast. And when it was time, because I remember it was like fourth grade, and go, hey, we have to go pick an instrument tomorrow. What do we do? She's like, you playing the violin. And I'm like, I ain't playing no violin. I ain't walking on the hood with no violin, right? But at the same time, it was also another dare to be like, you know, just like, again, people brand it as being a soft instrument. I said, I'm going to do that then. Call me soft, right? And honestly, nobody did, right? And I played the whole time until high school, but it was just a foundation of understanding, I think, a deeper music palette for me. Yeah. But my father was a drummer. Okay. He played with a lot of big bands. He even, you know, played with Bob Marley at one point. Nice. He was writing his own music. So I was always, growing up, listening to him play. The band was at the house, playing deep reggae, like, and playing for hours, you know? So, like, some stuff I don't even remember, I just think it's in me, you know? And then just seeing it all, you know, like, I just feel the 90s were just such a beautiful time for R&B and hip-hop. And
special.
You know, you see, you know, some of the great guys like Biggie and, you know, Whitney was big and Michael Jackson and all these guys were like, wow, it just made you believe in dreams. I said, I'm going to do that. And when I used to sing, they go, I don't think you can sing. You used to say this all the time. And I didn't believe it for a while, but I said, all right, well, I'm going to practice. And I would say today, you know, just I worked on it. Like I didn't wake up and just start singing it like Michael Jackson. As Jackson 5 is nothing like that. Like I worked to like understand, could I sing in tune? Could I get the tone? Could I really learn technique? Yeah. Rather than just having that natural gift, which we think like singing is or writing is.
Bro, this is so good. Well, it helps us understand that some things can actually be genuinely learned. Like you ain't just start and everybody's like, yo, man, you got something. This was just like
years.
I want to do this.
Nobody would even be like, don't, they're like, just stick to that. Just do that, you know? And again, I think it was probably correct at the time on some level. You hear him not singing well, but for me, it was, I just wanted to do it. I heard the good song. I'm like, I want to do that. I'm like, I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do it. You know?
Bro, that's so fly. Yeah. That's so fly. Well, I hope people understand some of the simplicity in that right there. I mean, like, because if you go on Jordan's YouTube right now and check, what's the song you played for Mocha out in Vegas?
Why Now?
Why Now? Mm-hmm. I walk in on y'all, bro. I'm like, get the hell out. Right. So, but I would have thought that you were just like, dude been doing this. Like I would have thought you'd do this. And to me, that's actually a greater story, because that's, like I said, I think you have to have a good measure of athletic gifts, but there's enough athletes that prove that, right? Like some people, everybody's starting with something different, but everybody has the tools to do more or less anything. Are you willing to put the work in?
Exactly.
Yeah, bro. That's super dynamic. So, what's going on, everybody? David Tyree here, your favorite Super Bowl 42 champion, author of The Greatest Catch in Super Bowl History. But here's the catch for today. I want you to take a moment. Think about what it's going to take for you to unlock the next step of mastery within your team, your organization, even your small business. Visit davidtyree85.com and check out some of these keynotes. Elevate integrity. Talk about self-awareness as a superpower. How to position your managers to be more self-aware and well-positioned for growth, advancement, and sustainability. Oh my goodness, Real Men Work. This is geared toward all of our men having the right attitude and disposition about work. This is for everyone looking to be the best, the peak pinnacle parent, the peak pinnacle father, the peak pinnacle leader. Make sure you check that out. And my absolute favorite, The Art of Being Coachable. This is something that all of us need. We lean in on humility, self-awareness, accountability, and how to be adaptable. Make sure you check out the website. We want to be an absolute asset to your growth and your high performance. davidtyree85.com. So give me a little bit of your mental makeup, because, you know, when you talk about gifts or talents versus work ethic, dedication, and some of these intuitive elements that, you know, obviously are learned. Sure. Where do you strike the balance from like creative to realism? Like, you know, because you got these facets going on. Like you could be out here pursuing a dream. Sure. But you're pursuing a different dream, even pursuing real estate and perfecting that craft. How do you bring these different worlds together? How do you balance the creative juices to the...
It's a tough balance, you know, because unfortunately in real estate, and I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of clients want to see you in a box. Mm-hmm. They want to see you have only one focus. And I'm not saying that I don't have a focus. And real estate is my life, that I spend 80 plus hours on a week or whatever it is. Real. I work 7 days a week in this business, but as a broker, we don't realize that this industry attracts actors and musicians and creative types who want the outlet of freedom so they can pursue their own projects, they can make different money, they can set their schedules. Nice. So, but then when they get in the industry, they're not necessarily welcomed as much as it's an outlet for, hey, come to real estate, you can kind of do it all. Yeah. So dealing with that has been a bit of a battle, and I just feel that I have to be unapologetic, you know, at the end of the day, like, because there's only one of me. There's only one of you. There's only one of anybody who's ever listening to this forever. Right?
Stand on it.
And I can never, as much as I can look at other brands and say, all right, this is some stuff I got to learn from, or let me see how they did. It's like, I'm still creating something that hasn't been created. And you're working on something right now that has never been created or done. So I can't reference everything. I can't say, oh, they did it. And right now, I don't know a lot of professionals who are, you know, transacting hundreds of millions of dollars in business and still like working on an album drop when you're talking to Trippie Redd or, you know, like whoever, like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I like that because it challenges us to like, really, how do we see people? Do we see people with the dynamicism?
Sure.
Again, going back to your thing is, if you're an articulate black dude, they want to put you in, okay, you had it good. Your parents modeled you this way. Man. You probably went to a top school. You're probably not about that life or something like that, right? Literally. If you know what I'm saying.
You my twin, bro. I had the same experience graduating from Montclair High.
Yeah. You know, and I feel like now we're seeing a range of experience in black people breaking barriers, you know, becoming billionaires. We got, you know, Jay-Z and Dr. Dre and these guys becoming billionaires.
It's crazy.
Right? From an industry where they said this is not even going to last more than 5, 6, 7 years when they got into hip-hop. Or where's this really going to go?
Yeah.
I don't think you would have sat down with Jay-Z in 93 or 4 and said, you're about to be a billionaire. Right?
No, like, definitely not.
And you're about to create billionaires based on what you're doing. So I reference that because, again, like, I can only imagine what somebody like that went through in the corporate world, and it's entertainment and so on. But now you get into these certain echelons where you step into the corporate world whether you want to or not. When you start getting into that place of, I'm mingling only with billionaires who have either they own these companies, they're the kind of the silent face behind these companies. You know, you don't really see or hear from the big brands who own. You know, you hear from the Bill Gates or the Warren Buffetts, but half of these companies you don't really know who's the guy running the shop. You know, and then you have this. You know, a person of color stepping in, you kind of cussing and making waves and still able to, you know, create a corporate modern organization that thrives and is able to employ people, that employs people and break through things of just, again, a talent. Like he was just kicking in, probably beatboxing and rapping and whatever in his always, right? Like
absolutely.
How did he take that mindset to $1 billion? So that's when you say like my mind makeup, it's like taking something out of nothing. I never felt like I deserved anything either.
Ooh,
I never felt
so ever, no entitlement streak here.
So no entitlement, and if you put yourself at a default where you say, I'm not entitled to anything and everything is my fault.
Ooh, high ownership.
You always have control, and it's funny because I just talked to one of my friends yesterday who I haven't talked to in a minute, and he goes, I was just telling somebody about you. He goes, there's no obstacle for you. Like, if they tell you the obstacle, like, you like, bet on Jordan, he's going to figure out a way to get through the door.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. This is just the means by which I'm going to be successful.
Right.
You know, obstacles, obstructions. You know, as an athlete, you know, like I ran track in high school.
I ran track too.
So respect. So this would be the one Olympic event that none of us understood, and it's the steeplechase. It was like, why is this got water on the track? Like, it's like, like my whole life growing up, I never understood the steeplechase. And now that I'm growing up in life, it's my favorite race because it's full of obstacles. It's full of obstructions. How are you going to get past the water? How are you going to get over the hurdle? So everybody loves the 1 and 2. I was a 400-meter runner. That's the big daddy of them all. But it's kind of like what you're speaking to right now. When you start to see life as that, then you understand it's an endurance race, and I have to find a way to overcome or get under or go through this barrier because it's going to be there. It's going to be there. So what would you say, you know, because you're also a father, two beautiful children.
Thank you.
What would you say has been your biggest obstacle, the biggest pain point where, you know, it tested you mentally? Because you already had the resolve, so we know it didn't break you. But where it tested you like, man, God, mom, whoever.
Right.
What was that moment for you that you felt like you were tested and life was dealing you hard blows?
You as a parent know there's so many moments, you know, whether they're small or big. I think for me it was, you know, transitioning my life. So me and my partner are not together anymore. You know, we're partners in a different capacity, right? So I don't see the breakups or how people see them in a very linear manner. We're partnering and raising these beautiful kids, you know, and that takes both of us to strive and become better people.
Sure.
But like starting life over, pandemic, where's money coming in?
Yeah.
You know, burning cash like crazy.
Woo.
Kids are locked in the house. Kids are worrying about dying.
For real.
Right? How am I explaining death to a kid who barely even lived? 2, 3 years old. He's looking at me like, I got to wear this so I might breathe in your... And you say, it's not that crazy or it's going to be okay and whatever it is. And everybody around them saying something different.
Oh, God.
There were a few moments, you know, like I've just went through a few moments where I've hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I would just say like faith and just like deep focus.
Yeah.
You know, deep focus has gotten me through.
It's powerful.
You know, and just really being like, you really have to like tap into what you want and not seeing it so far. That's the big thing. Like,
yeah.
If I want it, I almost have to think, how would I feel now that I have it? And then I go about my day as if I already got it. You feel me?
Okay, I'm with you.
And like I stay in that place. And sometimes you got to interrupt those thoughts that come with any negativity that want to say it's it.
You better believe it.
And I'm telling you, for me to make it here in this business, to show you what I've showed you, I would have literally never dreamed this. Like,
that's so
never.
Awesome.
I used to hop subways and make my appointments. I used to be eating dollar chicken on 21st and 6th because I had to pay for ads for my team. And I even bought people food who were also struggling at the time. And we used to get chicken and pizza and everything.
Yeah.
2 brothers, straight up. We were eating 2 bros, for, you know. And you know, like there are times where you just enough money to pay rent, or maybe you're even behind, and you're like, well, how does this make sense? And then you could be just standing on a corner walking your dog, and then you just end up bump into a buyer, and you say, oh, you're a real estate broker? I'm looking to spend $10 million. Wow. Or whatever it is. And you just get so blown away. You're like, I wasn't even supposed to be outside today.
Yeah, the provision, the timing. But thank you for that real time, because you know when you have tremendous dreams, people can't appreciate the vulnerability along the way, right? At the end of the day, it's like, you know, it's a thin line even on the social media and what we're sharing, right? Because no one's complaining about the pathway to greatness. Right? But you can't talk to everybody about the painful moments, right? And that's the hard part. It's like, oh, you know, it's like, actually, thank God I have real relationships where I do have amazing wife and amazing relationships where when I'm down or I feel like I'm in one of those scenarios, we can have this dialogue. When we staying in the basement, when it's me and my wife and there's 10 of us in the basement, big finished basement, but a basement nonetheless, and we ain't got no windows and sunlight. That's a tough time that we had never been in. So you got people that you can kind of share those sufferings with. So you know when you share that, you know, but you're still working on that $10 million deal. Yeah, you still, you know, like it's an amazing.
It's a paradox. Yeah,
there you go.
There's always something positive going on in your life, and it's. Unfortunately, the negative things can weigh down, right?
Sure.
Like there's a death, you know, health is always something tough to battle with.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, anybody with finances, but there probably is something positive. Like you still woke up today.
No doubt.
You still could see, I give gratitude for the smallest things right now. I'm talking about, damn, I literally was the other day Googling, when was the toothbrush invented? So I was like, if I wasn't alive before 1900, I wouldn't even have a toothbrush.
Come on, dog. I've had some of these random conversations too. I'm like, do you realize how amazing an instrument this is? They were eating apples trying to clean their teeth.
Right. Right. But we have so much now, we don't even realize it. We look at what's in our bank, but we're like, what about my friendships? What about these clothes that I never had to hammer? I never had to pick the cotton, or I never had to, you know, figure out how to get the lights on. Or there's so many breakthroughs and inventions that we're benefiting off of that. I'm like, I could never be upset. Don't get me wrong. I want to make it to the top.
No, I'm with you, bro.
But I'm happy with what I got because it is a lot. Like we're just not really giving. Look at the views. You know, these architectural people have to think about this and build this, and somebody had to lay that brick out there to, you know, make it look good so that somebody wanted to buy it, and I could sit back and say, that's nice.
Bro,
you know,
this is such a bar. I'm gonna polish this moment off and get this some more of this, because what we're really talking about is, you know, I'm a man of faith. So, you know, Jesus said you can't worship God and mammon, but mammon is just materialism. So basically, everything that you just said is that, man, if we can understand that we actually have the things that we need, then money won't become this object that it's actually lifeless. We know that it says it's just a note, right? Like it's literally just a note. But if you actually have the food, the place over your head, the shelter, meaning like, and thankfully you have the relationships that secure you. You actually have the things that you need to fuel that gasoline called gratitude.
Right.
That's going to get you to the next place where you want to be.
Right.
But if you lose the gratitude, then you're at a deficit, bro. It's like, so it makes me think, it's like, man, if we can really strip away the idea of, because people, they find their worth in their bank account.
Right.
And I get it. We need the money to get the food.
Course.
Don't get me wrong. Like, but I find that people are the conduit to everything at the end of the day.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, if somebody write my check, if somebody says, come walk with me, come eat with me, oh, I like you. So if we got people and we got resources, then it kind of deflates money.
Right. And then we have life.
There it is.
How much is your life? Could I pay for your life and say, I'll give you $1 trillion right now if you had to die today? Nobody would say yes. So I guess it's the real gift is life itself.
There it is,
right?
bro.
And we don't realize, like, it's not here forever. Like, we are living in this beautiful experience and everything else. So, like, I feel I just have to have that perspective and keep that, because it's so easy to get muddied up with everything else and all the nonsense that's going on.
And listen, and I'm a winner, so we're in the pursuit of greatness. So we're in the pursuit of greatness. You're a competitor, you're a creative, and you close deals. So let's talk about what we got going on. We got Netflix going on. That's my dog. Hey. I see the Empire Collective, y'all. So talk to me about the relationship first. How you came into the relationship with Sirhan, but now we got this show. And listen, this is destiny, man. You out here. So tell me a little bit more about the experience.
So again, in the middle of pandemic, just looking for a big shift in my business, and things were shut down, and we had gotten a call from Ryan he says, I'm starting a company, and we met him, and nothing was planned. I go, where's the office? He goes, I don't know. I go, well, how many people do we want to hire? Not sure yet. And it was just a vision of, I just want to do things differently. And this is what I've done, and this is where I'm going. And we're going to figure it out. We're going to iron it all out. Right now, we're just renting a little house, literally not much bigger than this. We were renting a little office compared to what we have on the corner of West Broadway and Broome. And I've been in the business for what was it at that point? What is it, 2024 now? So I had already been in the business like 13 years.
Nice.
I've managed companies. Some of them, went under. Some of them sold to other companies.
Sure.
And I was the guy, as a young manager. And this was like, I was like another company. And I'm the type I like to put where I'm at. So it was still a big move, While I trusted him, it was still a risk to say, all right, well, this is the new path I'm taking. And could this be my last step of my career? And then everything just started going off. I mean, it wasn't easy. Nothing was easy. Like, our team has transitioned so much and grown now. But just growing a team and hiring and keeping people, content and working in a commission job in tough markets, coming out of pandemics. I mean, it was a lot. But
wow, especially here in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, every city was impacted, but obviously none quite like New York. This place was
quite like New York, and you're starting a new job in the pandemic while you already have stuff going on. Everybody thought it was crazy for somebody who doesn't even have an office figured out, and what's going on? Is this the right time? And we did it, and now we're here. It's Netflix owning Manhattan. It's a story about Ryan building his company actually since the pandemic, just like I'm talking about, and hiring these rock star agents. Who are also hyper competitive but collaborative too. And
nice.
We're just now selling the real estate that everybody thinks about in New York and showing you everything that goes on in between. So,
bro, y'all are a super dope team. What do you think? Like I said, you have a lot of experience, and you guys do collaborate extremely well.
Sure.
What do you think sets you guys apart? I mean, and the Empire Collective has kind of really blossomed into a unique collaboration. What really sets you guys apart for your customers and clientele?
So for me, when people say experience, it's very much so like a word that doesn't really give you the full breadth of what that really means. But, we're leveraging deep experience, but I've been exposed to a lot, right? The previous companies I was working, I managed 700 people. Woo. At 26 years old, 25 years old. right?
700,
700 people. We were a top 10 firm in the city.
Nice.
And I was, again, the young black dude on the block,
Yeah.
right? But I saw how to scale companies. We were recognized by the Inc. 5000 2 years in a row.
Nice.
For our scale, and getting that recognition was huge for me because people, again, laughed at that company I was working at, saying that, oh, why would you take this route when there's all these other routes that seem more attractive? And again, I took a shot, I took a risk, and now I'm seeing that all of those experiences help me help this team better. So it's, what are the best-in-class technologies? What's the best way to spend your advertising dollars so you're not just spinning wheels?
Nice.
How do you really get those conversations to make business, right?
Sure.
Like, we're talking to everybody every day and we're networking every day, but how do I actually start extracting business from this?
That's a good one right
there.
there.
So I've learned by so much failure, really, by spending the money. I'm going to tell you, where not to waste your money.
Fail fast.
What technology is going to be a waste of your time. So it was just honestly a process of trial of elimination.
Sure.
And then bringing all of that to this experience here, but then still seeing hundreds and, actually more than hundreds, but now, thousands of deals in my career.
It's awesome.
And then wanting to give the power back to the agent. I felt that, like, a lot of the teams are created so that, often it feels like one person gets celebrated.
Sure.
And I wanted a team of juggernauts. I wanted a team of, hey, I'm doing business at this high level. You're doing it at this high level.
Yeah.
Why do we have to be so competitive with each other? Why don't we figure out how to put our heads together and actually make it? By the way, that team wasn't even out for the entire year, and we ranked 24th in the state.
Wow.
With 4 or 5 people.
Really?
You know what I mean? And again, it was just a testament of, leveraging the best-in-class systems, best-in-class methodologies, training and being modeled by, again, the Tony Robbins and the Tom Ferrys and the Ryan Serhants, to now create an environment where all you can do is thrive because all you have is tools, resources at your disposal, right? And Serhant has, he's implementing AI. He's got in-house agencies. We have video, studios that create whatever we want. I mean, we have everything at our fingertips here. So I just wanted to feel like I even pushed that to the next level.
That's good.
Leveraging the best of his resources, tying it with what I know it works, and then giving it to the agent saying, hey, you want to reach 100 people to do this invite? Let's not have you call. Why don't I put together a text message chain and send it out to 1,000 people?
Oh.
Right? How do we get you in touch with everybody in your building in a few minutes? Right? Like, that would take you typically one by one, going through the yellow pages, finding everybody's numbers. So now I'm able to
yellow
give people...
page, you don't know nothing about that.
Right? Or whatever it is, Google, the white pages, you know what I mean? But that was what it took. And a lot of people don't really know, how do I build these things? How do I build a business?
Build these systems,
And for us, it was, I wanted to give all of that to the agent. And then how do we use automation? How do we use AI? How do we use, digital media and marketing, which allows you to really target who you're reaching out to and focus on the performance side of marketing. So it's not just a billboard and you're spending money, but now you can manage your metrics and look at how to optimize your performance and your conversions, and like giving people those deep insights that I feel like, unfortunately, we're in an industry that we very much gloss over, because also everybody's busy and it's tough to slow down. And if it ain't broken, why fix it? So there's a lot of people who aren't broken and they're doing really well, but then they realize there still is that other gap.
There's that growth opportunity.
There's that growth opportunity. And, I also left you talked, not to go too far back, but you also talked about a time where I had a unique hit rock bottom. And I was managing another company at one time, unnamed, but they were actually bouncing my checks.
Oh, my God.
Woo! Company was going under in front of my eyes, where I was even using my cash. And by the way, I just had a son.
Oh,
my rent was $4,000 a month.
Come on now.
The daycare was $2,500.
Talk about it. Get those some numbers out so people get what life look like.
Right, and then I still pay my health insurance out of pocket. You know how much New York food costs. I still got to move around, do events, open houses. Bro. And I'm running a business, right? On top of just like the expenses. And I was just a kid. I was 24 and I was going
24 years old.
I was like, who can I call right now for $15,000 or $12,000? I go, I ain't got nobody to call.
Oh, God.
And he's bouncing the checks. He goes, come back in 3 days. I come back in a week. And people are sitting in the office go, where's my check? I just closed the deal. I'm not just on salary. I went out, I closed that deal, and there's no check for me. Right? So I was going to my bank to pay people at that time. Oh. And I go, what do I do? Because even if I started looking for a job and interviewed for, 3 weeks to a month or 6 weeks or however it takes long, because there's only so many companies in this business that you can actually work for.
Yeah.
And if they're even hiring, right, depending on the market, what was I looking at? And I'm telling you, I was freaked out.
Man, this is so
because
real.
I go, what do I do? What do I do? Because how do I catch up? Even if I get a job, I was like, even if I get a job at the time paying a nice 6-figure salary and so on, unless I'm getting, and I had a coach at the time and he directed me, he said, just email everybody in your network and tell them that you're looking for something.
Sure.
And we prayed on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was funny because one of my previous managers had introduced me to one of the companies that I was managing the 700 people at.
Okay.
And here's the funny part, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
When I had met him for the interview, the owner of that company, Aaron Graff, he had sat in front of me. He goes, oh, so funny. He goes, I was actually trying to meet you 2 weeks ago. He goes, I was actually trying to buy the company that you were at right now. And you were supposed to be in that meeting. And for whatever reason, you weren't there. And they told me you were coming and you never came because they spoke so highly about you.
Yeah.
And the person who referred me was living in Seattle at the time. They weren't even in New York who referred me. I got referred for somebody in Seattle to work at that company for somebody who's already looking for me 2 weeks prior. Wow. And that $15K, he gave it to me in the spot.
What?
Undisclosed, I guess. Disclosed now, right? It's years later. It's over 10 years.
That's love. That's love.
You see what I'm saying? And he didn't know I needed it.
Man.
He goes, I really want you, and I'll send you a sign-on bonus right now. And I said, I'll think about it. And in my mind, I go, oh my gosh, what's going on? Right? And it was exactly what I needed just to get through until I started the job and pay the bills and just pay things down because I just had a baby. You know how much
that's real.
Those are your toughest years when the kids are young.
Oh my gosh.
And
bro. So these are moments where you feel like the world's crumbling, and I tell you, it's of course me. I'm like, God. Those are the God moments. Those are the sovereign moments that are higher than us when things are orchestrated in our favor. But you have to remain steadfast. You have to do everything that you know to do. You have to listen to trusted advisors, right?
Right.
And man, you navigated it, brother. You navigated it because people need to, listen. When you crack up, when they see you on the show, they think it's something totally different. They're not gonna. Right. They're gonna miss this.
It's a good life. And even in this business, people don't know what we do to sell these properties that have been sitting. Some of these properties that take on have been sitting years in the market. People are thinking about, maybe I'm just going to die in this house. Like, you don't even know the type of stuff that we hear, right? Like, people are, because there is no hope. You meet top brokers and they tell you what it is. They take the listing, they try to sell it, and you're like, can I even sell it? I have a celebrity client I'm meeting this week.
Yeah.
She's been trying to sell her home for 10 years.
Gosh.
For 10 years because of the type of market, the type of inventory.
Sure.
Certain listings are just tougher than others.
They're tougher,
you have a co-op, whatever it is. And
10 years,
you got to take a loss, but can you take a $10 million loss? Right? Like,
ouch.
Exactly, right? So you're sitting with somebody. It's not just, hey, let's find you the dream home.
Yeah.
When you're unpacking living in your house and you're moving and your family and it's
the most intense stuff. Yeah, it's the most intense emotional stuff.
This is one of the hardest jobs. People think real estate brokers do nothing. This is one of the hardest jobs. It spits everybody out.
You painted it for me in a different way because, it's supposed to be the uniqueness of each market. New York City is it's a whole other beast. Right. And it's a whole other beast I personally never tapped into. I'm like, listen, I never had the faith to come up in here. Like, I can't afford it. Right. I'm like, I never had the balls. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like Jersey bad enough, taxes worse over here.
Sure.
But it's like as you're communicating this, I see it. I'm like, y'all out here like construction workers. It's just got different outfit on.
Different outfit. I could walk 20 miles in a day.
Yeah.
I could be south of Brooklyn. I'm back in Harlem by 2. I'm back in Brooklyn by 3. Like, you are moving around. And guess what? 100-degree days, 0-degree days, rainstorms, snowstorms. We outside.
Listen, we live outside. I tell people, I said, there's no place like this like the city. And I'm a Jersey boy, and I love it. Yeah. No regrets, but there's no place like the city. And anybody who I've had wonderful relationships, people who come from other places of the country, they come here, like, man, they all just the speed, man, the speed. I'm like, bro, it's different. It's just different. You gotta, Sinatra was right. You can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Tell us, like, just as we want to know, what are you most excited about moving forward? We know we got Own in Manhattan, but even for you personally, like I said, you're navigating so many meaningful areas of life. What are you most excited about as you're moving to this next phase?
I mean, I have a lot of projects I'm working on that will be rolled out, new music. Nice. And I think just able to, I think when you focus on the relationships and the vision of this business, the business and the money will follow. So I'm more just happy to meet people. I'm like, I want to meet people in tech. I want to meet people. Oh, it's AI. I want to meet people in AI. Yes. Like, I love connecting with people in various industries, all walks of life. Yeah. And I see it like a job in a certain way, but it's not, because it's relationships. But you still have to go out and put that networking event on your calendar. You still got to go to that gala. Bro. You still got to get outside and not be in the house. Or if you're online, how do you introduce yourself to people on Instagram rather than just sit there and look? Take the other step. But I've done it, right? I just met Mariah Carey's old manager on Instagram. Wow. Right? I met Michael Jackson's old bodyguard on, what was the Clubhouse? Was it Clubhouse?
Oh, Clubhouse, yeah.
Back in the day? Yeah. That was a huge networking tool, right?
Yeah. Like, it was popping for him.
You don't even know who you'll meet. And also, what one relationship can be life-changing. Because how many people do they know? And how many people do they know? So one person or two people can literally make you millions of dollars in this business.
Yeah, it's powerful.
But then again, you're learning people. So just different cultures, different walks of life. You came from people who come from Europe, people come from the Middle East, people come from Asia, China. I love learning about their luxury experience, the way that their standards are, their traditions are. How do I fit into like their mold of success and learn the customs, right? I think it's good. We're always looking to break the rules and reinvent things, but it's like, how do I take some of the traditional values and, the way that they think about their decision making and, and how do I make that work? So I'm just very excited just about, of course, the deals you do, but the relationships that I'm going to create.
That's super dope, man. Tell us where we can find you specifically, as well as the business you're connected to.
Sure. So you can find me online. I'm on Instagram. It's Jordan March. If you type in Jordan March, you find me anywhere too. And yeah, that's probably the best way to reach me. Jordan@sirhant.com for those who just want to email.
There you go.
And I ain't hard to find.
I'm out here in these streets. New York City is live. Listen, bro. I mean, like we clearly we're aligned in so many different areas. Hearing your upbringing is clear that you're about that life. Right. And that's what I tell people all the time is like, listen, man, you got to be secure in who you are. Sure. To become who God's called you to be. Sure. And I think like when you can gather that, at whatever stage, because some people get that at 20, some people get it at 30. Some people get it at 35, 40. I mean, like, because we don't know what people have endured to even come to that place where it's like, okay, I know who I am. So it becomes very difficult to start navigating, picking up your place, picking up the confidence that you need to walk with a certainty. And bro, so man, your story's not only inspiring, your grind, your commitment to the next phase of being great at what you do. So cheers. Thank you. I hope y'all got all these bars. We're gonna be back with another one next week. But Jordan, just make sure you follow everything that Jordan's up to and into with Sirhant, with the Empire Collective, Own in Manhattan on Netflix. And
Own in Manhattan, come on, June 28th on Netflix.
Come on, you already know.
If you're interested in seeing the wild world of real estate, you have to see this show. I'm telling you, we're gonna redefine the genre with this show.
Ooh, he talking that talk. Yeah, he talking his name.
We have some of the best producers. We got some of the best executives and producers and creative people that were behind it, and then really telling the story now. New York hasn't had anything big in years.
We don't
realize it since $1 Million Listing.
Listen, say less. Make sure you tune in. We'll see y'all next week and catch a moment. Y'all be easy and get great.